Hello, everyone. My name is Carlos Centelles, and this is my presentation about the research on social values in Europe in the 21st century. We will see later, this is a study that covers the years ranging from 2002 and 2018. In this presentation, we will go through the following points. First, an introduction to the study, then the objectives of the study, the theoretical framework with the state of the art and the hypothesis we stated after reviewing the state of the art and the theoretical framework, then the methodology used in the study to analyze the data, analysis and results of the data, and to finalize the conclusions we extracted from this study. So basically, what we want to study, what we study in this research, basically was about the political attitudes of the European citizens. So we wanted to know whether the political attitudes changed during the 21st century in the European Union, and if so, in which way? Has Europe moved from what is called, and we will define later, materialism towards post-materialism values, post-materialistic values? Are there any difference among countries and among citizens? For this, basically, we will first talk about what is ideology and political culture, and a more higher level. An ideology is a set of concepts and values, and political culture is a set shared meanings about the political world. So if we want to study either of these two, we have to rely on social research, and in this case on quantitative research, to know what is the political culture, the ideology, and, as we will see later, the political attitudes of the citizens, because political attitudes are a set of preferences that individuals have internalized to help them define the way they intervene in the political process. So the political culture and the ideology are at a more abstract, higher level, and political attitudes is the way they kind of shape their intervention in the political process in the end. So the objectives of this research was the general objective to know what is the evolution of values and political attitudes of European citizens in the EU 27. In this case, as we want to analyze the political attitudes of the citizens, is important to be limited to the European Union countries, not Europe at large, because in the end we want to analyze what the opinion of these citizens that fall into a sovereign region, right? In this case, the European Union. The specific objectives are to compare the political attitudes of European citizens across the different countries of the European Union at a country comparison level, and then analyze their socio-demographic characteristic at more individual level. This is age, gender, educational level, urbanization level, and social class. A little bit of theory. So the theoretical framework basically of these studies is to know what is the changing values in Western countries, like with the move from, if there is any move from materialism towards the new values. As we all might know, in modern and postmodern studies, some authors they talk about the grand narrative, with in the move from the modernity to postmodernity was kind of the disappearance of the grand narratives of ideologies. In this sense, Bell speaks about the end of the ideology, and Fukuyama, in his famous book about the end of history, how after the fall of the Soviet Union, this dialectic struggle between the ideology of communism and capitalism finished, and then we wouldn't have anymore like these grand narratives, and in that sense, it would be the end of history. So after that, we are speaking about globalization and how globalization brought individualism and the differences between modern citizenship that relied on modern ideologies and materialistic ideologies and global citizenship, right? In this way, we have the old and historic social movements from modernity, and as part of the global citizenship, we have the new social movements, right? New social movements that we can also name as post-national rights, post-materialistic values, and post-economic values that we will see later why we call them post-economic values. But not everyone is influencing the same way in their changing values. Some authors speak that there's a big difference between rich and poor, either at the country level and society level. No, globalized countries that are rich and localized poor countries, right? Same with the social center in a given society and the social periphery. So about the old and historic social movement, in this case, we are talking about materialistic ideologies and movement that rely on materialism. That they are economicists. These social movement are working class movement, unionism, peasant, and corporativisms, compared to what we speak now as new social movement. These ones are more characterized by postmodernism, and they transcend the economicism. So that's why we call them post-economics, post-national values that are very characteristic of the globalization era. In this sense, these movements and these ideologies, they are post-materialistics in terms that they value self-expression and the emancipation and psychological identification with a community other than social class. New social movement, we will speak about multiculturalism, LGBTQ+, ecologism, and feminism. So the state of the art, some authors, they already study this, and their research show that usually richer countries, they tend to be more post-materialistic and less materialistic. Eastern European countries, former communist and central former communist, are more materialistic, while Central European with Protestant tradition countries are more post-materialistic. So post-materialistic values in Eastern Europe, for example, score relatively low and stable across periods of time. And this same author says that younger, urban, and citizens with higher education from developed and economic stable countries, they tend to rely more to support more post-materialistic values. So in the end, we're speaking that usually to be from higher socioeconomic backgrounds and to be young have a positive relationship with post-materialistic values. Not this idea of the social center, either at a societal level or in comparison of different countries. So with this in mind, our hypotheses are that North and Western Central Europe will be more supportive of new values, post-materialistic values, that Mediterranean and Eastern European countries, on the contrary, would support more materialistic values. At the household income level, those households with higher living standards are more prone to new values, whereas those with lower living standards will be more prone to materialistic values. And in terms of sociodemographics, in the end, higher living standards, being young, women with higher education and from urban areas would correlate more with new values. And on the contrary, people with lower living standards, self-reported, that we will see later, older men with lower education and from rural areas will correlate with materialistic values. So about the methodology and analysis technique, we use data from the European Social Survey, from the waves going from the 2002 to 2018. In this sense, we had a strong temporal study to kind of study the changing values of the European citizens across the 21st century, although this study can be updated now with the new waves. Here we have the variables, the questions that we use to construct our variables for materialistic values, and from the new values that we will split into multiculturalism, LGBTQ+, ecologism, and feminism. And the analysis, basically, we use a multivariate linear regression where the dependent variables are our values, materialistic values on the one hand, and new values on the other hand, and independent variables are those variables that we want to see the impact they have on the dependent variable. These are like countries, perception of household income, urbanization level, gender, age, and year, which is the year of the wave of the survey. So to know which countries to group as rich, average, or poor, since the data here we use is self-reported, perceived income level, to what extent they live comfortably or they struggle with their income levels. We've grouped the countries according to how these countries, the citizens in these countries, score on average across the years, and how these scores compare to other countries. In this case, we've grouped them in 3 different clusters. Those countries with high income level or perceived high income level, those with average income level, and those with low income level. And they are split this way. So about the results, here we see the results in multilinear regression and multivariate linear regression. We have the results and how each of these independent variables impact positively or negatively in the dependent variables, materialistic values and post-materialistic values. And for the materialistic values, we see that mostly countries from Eastern Europe and the south of Europe, they correlate positively with the materialistic values, as well as having higher income levels and being from rural areas. What we see, and this is very interesting, is how materialistic values grew during the financial crisis, and then after the crisis, levels went back down. So this is when there is a financial struggle, people tend to rely more, to support more materialistic values, right? On the contrary, we see that countries from Central Europe and Northern Europe, they are less prone to support materialistic value, as well as older people, women, and also people, as years of schooling increase, people are less materialistic, so to speak. About the new values, now we will start with multiculturalism. In multiculturalism, we see that also that some countries from Southern Europe and Eastern Europe, they score lower on multiculturalism, as well as older citizens. What we see that multiculturalism is been losing support over the years, as we can compare across years. We've seen this relation statistically. On the other hand, northern countries, Finland, Sweden, and Luxembourg, they score higher on multiculturalism, as well as people with higher income levels from urban areas and with more years of education. About LGBT, we see again that the same pattern, similar pattern, like Eastern Europe countries and Southern Europe countries, they support less LGBT values, as well as older people and men. On the other hand, we have a country like Netherlands, Denmark, France, and Belgium, as well as people with higher income levels, women from urban areas and with higher education levels that support these new values, LGBTQ+. Also, we saw how tolerance towards this community grew in Europe, but it has kind of stabilized from 2014. And the last of the new values we have here, ecologism, not the last, but there's ecologism and feminism. Ecologism, we see that some countries, this is a mix of Northern Europe, Southern Europe, Eastern Europe. Some countries, they support less ecologism. Also, men tend to support less this new value. And on the other hand, on the other side, we have some other countries like Greece, Slovenia, Hungary, and Spain that are more ecologist, as well as older people, women, and people with more years of schooling tend to support more ecologism. In terms of feminism, the last of the new values we are analyzing here, we see again the pattern of some Eastern European and Southern European countries supporting less this new value, as well as older people with lower perceived lower income levels. They score less on feminism, according to our regression analysis. And also, we see that in 2004, feminism was feminist values were less supported than in 2010. So it's been a change there. Also, the countries that are more feminist are northern countries, basically. Also, in terms of the sociodemographics of the citizen, people with higher income levels, women from urban areas and with higher educational levels, they tend to support more this new value. So in a nutshell, as a summary, what we've seen in terms of countries comparison is that northern countries, they tend to support more new values as LGBT, feminism, and to a lesser extent, multiculturalism, and support less materialistic values. On the other hand, we have the Mediterranean and Eastern countries that they are more prone to support materialistic values and less prone to support new values as multiculturalism, LGBT, and feminism. In terms of how the household income level, perceived household income level impacts on social values, the values citizens have, we can say that higher income level tend to correlate, to have a positive correlation with both materialistic and new values. In this way, they correlate with both materialistic and post-materialistic values. However, those households with lower income levels, they have a negative correlation with new values. They support it less. And to finalize, in terms of the sociodemographics, the sociodemographic variables, we can see that people, citizens from urban areas, they tend to ascribe more to the new values, multiculturalism, LGBT, and feminism. Also that years of schooling, the higher educational levels have a positive correlation with the new values and a negative correlation with materialistic values. Also, young people, this is very interesting too, because young people have a positive correlation. They are more prone to support both new values, but also materialistic values. And this could be a new line of investigation, but this could be related with the same as we saw that during the financial crisis, the materialistic values grew. It could be the same kind of idea with young people who might struggle with the precarization of the labor market. And also we see that older people, they tend to be more ecologist, and that women, in terms of the gender difference, women tend to support more new values, whereas men, they tend to support more materialistic values. And this is the presentation. Thank you very much.